people. Can you believe it, Wilson? This is episode 10 of Is This a Pickleball Podcast? I'm your host, Matthew K. Pickleball. I'm here with my esteemed co-host, Mr. Wilson. How are you, Wilson? What's up?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been good. There's a little more daylight in the evening, so I appreciate that. There are a few more pickleball courts available to play at after work, so I'm a happy camper right now. How about you?
Ooh, I'm just glad we've gotten some extra playtime in lately, so I'm super appreciative of that. But I heard you're really having to look for games these days. There's some construction going on at some of your home courts. What's going on in the LA pickleball scene? Since everywhere I go, folks, everywhere I go, there and Wilson's with me. They run up to this guy to say hello. He's the friendliest. I look at him and I realize how socially awkward I am. Wilson, I admire you. Your social skills are so on point. You're so nice. Everyone knows it. But what'd you do? Did you break a court? What are all these wait times this past weekend?
Well, thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so my go-to courts on the weekends, whenever I have time, whenever I'm not too busy working, is Live Oak Park in Temple City. And they shut down the courts for almost 2 weeks, give or take a few days. And they added an additional four permanent courts. So they have a total of eight permanent courts, which is awesome. Um, you know, the wait time has been great. The only thing I am hoping that they do is, add some lights. Because right now there's no lights. So as long as you play until you can't see anymore in the evenings, right? So yeah, yeah. So they have eight courts, and I'm excited to play there this weekend.
All right. Oh, so they put down they put in permanent nets, but no lights yet.
Hmm.
I guess that's quite. I bet that's pricey to do. So, all right.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That's actually going to tie into a topic of today's podcast, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, Wilson,
Yeah.
everyone wants to hear from you. Not for me. They're tired of hearing Matthew K. Pickleball go on and on and on. And so today we were chatting and you were telling me there is some duper mayhem going on. So why don't you tell the audience what's going on and what's your hot take?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't have a super hot take, but so Duper for the longest time has been a free app, right? And
And for folks that are just pure rec players that don't know, although I doubt you're listening to this podcast, Duper is more than an app. It's like how folks get rated, level skill wise, which really impacts tournaments. It like determines who you play against within tournaments, and they really have like they're the only they're the only folks in town. Like I mean, they got a monopoly as far as like rating players, right? There's not another rival system, right?
there is, but it's not as popular. Um,
Oh.
UTR, which is for tennis, they have their version of pickleball, of a pickleball rating system, and
Oh.
there, um, I believe, was it nationals or one of those large tournaments, not PPA related or APP related. They actually use that rating system.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, uh-oh, Duper's got some competition. I didn't realize that. So, all right. So
Yeah.
tell us, they're in hot water with Wilson. So
Um,
tell us why. Why are you upset with them?
yeah, so for the longest time they had it was a free app. It was not the greatest, and it still really isn't. The user interface is not the best. But hey, it was free. You really can't complain about it too much. Um, but recently, in the latest updates of the app, they've made it a premium. They have a free version, but now they also have a premium version, a subscription version. It's not too bad. It's 29.99 a year. But that's that can go towards balls or new paddles or new shoes, right? Um, so if you don't select the premium service, you are hit with ads. And these ads are actually pretty annoying. It's not just like, YouTube ads where you watch like 5 seconds of it and you can hit the lower right hand corner and skip everything. You you cannot skip it. Number one, it's full screen. You're full screen. There's no little X, there's no nothing. And I swear it's like a minute or two long. And you just literally have to sit there. And it basically happened almost every time I switch tabs on the lower end part of the app, where you go between tournaments or when you're trying to search for players, or if you want to see your own homepage, um, an ad would pop up and it would get super annoying. But this morning, before we started this podcast, I just went to go check on the DUPR app, just to make sure I'm what I'm saying is correct. But the apps the ads seem to have toned down a little today. So I don't know exactly, when these ads are triggered, right? Um, but there are ads. There is a new premium subscription service without the ads. But for me, it's not bothering me too much, because as long as I have my Duper ID number, I can still enter it and I can play in tournaments. I can still do rated rec play or rated open play. Um, so I'm not on it 24/7 like I am on like Instagram or Facebook. So honestly, it doesn't bother me too much. But I do notice that some people it's really bothering some people more than others.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think if it's triggering an ad after you've already opened the app and you're like, because basically you go to Duper to like sort of see other like folks' ratings you're going to be at a tournament with or something, and if it's triggering an ad left and right, I could definitely see that being annoying. I
Oh yeah, you're
think,
right. I didn't think about that when you want to scope out your opponents or
yeah, just to
something.
see what's
That would get
see what.
pretty annoying.
So yeah, I guess $30 isn't terrible, but I would say if they're gonna do a free version, let's get let's get pre-roll ads, or like when you excuse me, when you open the app, give us your ad and then let us go about our business, I'd
Yeah, I
say.
agree with that.
Especially, but and it's good, at least there's some competition. Maybe if it's super annoying, maybe people will use that tennis one. I don't know. Wilson, I know you did a little bit of Reddit sleuthing. Did you want to point out that one ad? I do think that's an issue. If they're going to bombard us with ads, it's on Duper to do their due diligence, I feel.
Yeah, granted, I don't click on the ads. I just wait the minute or two and then I exit out of it. But some people are saying that there are some, I guess, phishing or malware type ads that are being found
Yeah.
on the Duper app. And that is a little worrisome, because
Yeah.
if pickleball, I'm assuming there's some people who are a little older or maybe less
Mm-hmm.
tech savvy per se, and they may accidentally open an account, click something, give someone information that they shouldn't have,
Yeah.
and that could go bad really quickly.
Yeah. All right, Dad. If
Yeah.
you're watching this, beware. I know you have had some trouble with the fishers before, so don't click on anything in the Duper app.
Yeah.
Get your info and get out. All right. I think let's shift gears. Let's Duper, get your stuff together, please. Come on. Everyone uses you. Don't take advantage. Don't take advantage of us. And I'm scared that $30 rate. Like, I'm okay with that, but I hate like annual subscriptions, and that just seems like once they get the hooks in on that fee, like who knows where it's gonna go. So hopefully they can keep a free version, since they are the adopted method for especially like lower level players. Hopefully they can be nice and figure it out, because I'm sure they must have sponsors. Anyway, let's move on though. All right, Wilson. I want to talk about what are we testing right now. This segment is presented by our friends over at SwiftNet. Wilson and I just used their net the other day. I didn't want to lug my heavy one out of the trunk, and I just made the guy that I was playing with. We waited a little while. We just dinked on walls. I'm like, Wilson's got his SwiftNet. Out of my shoulder, I don't want to get tired out. In SwiftNet, they've got the lightweight net. It's super durable. I watched Wilson put it up in a few minutes, and just I can't give SwiftNet too much praise. It's not possible. So thank you, SwiftNet, for presenting this segment. And so let's jump into it. Right now, Wilson, am testing a bunch of wide body paddles. I'm working on a video for a while now. I think it's going to be top 5 budget wide bodies. And that is a shape that I just really love. And I also think it's a shape that suits beginning pickleball players because that bigger sweet spot. But I also think now, even with more advanced players, now that we've moved into Gen 3, Gen 4, I think that shape is still a very good defense against some of these more power-focused players. So if you're not a power-focused player, I think the wide body is a shape to look at. And I'm going through so Volair, they sort of originated that shape, and I did want to take a look at their budget versions. And these are super cheap. They've got the painted on grit fiberglass, but I actually have been enjoying playing with them. But I just wanted to look at those just for fun. But really, the ones I'm going through are the new Vatics, both the Prisms and the Saga versions of their bloom shape. And I got a lot of thoughts on those. I have already talked about on the pod how I'm a big fan of the Saga 14mm bloom, and stay tuned for that review. And then I'm also looking at this budget paddle from Spartus, their Oracle Apex. Very cool paddle, very inexpensive. But the two that I really wanted to highlight right now, which will be highlighted in my bigger video, is this paddle from, I think you pronounce it Aiso, A-I-S-O. This is their RyuPaddle, and it is their take on Gen 3, and it's a 15mm build, which is one of the more unusual thicknesses. And I've actually reviewed their previous paddle. It's up on the channel, but they're known for just creating budget paddles that perform really well, and they keep their lines simple. And so this is actually only their second paddle. It just has a really, really cool look. The titanium weave with the Tron dragon is just very unique. And after promo code Matthew K, this thing's only $90 for Gen 3. Very interesting. Has a very unique feel to it, and I'm still actually warming up to it. I had played with it with an oversized grip, then I slimmed the grip down. Now I think I need to get a grip in between. But it is a fun paddle, and it's fun in the lineup to test basically all the same shapes, but then they all have different guts. And then another one I wanted to point out was actually from a local Los Angeles brand called Tame and Lame. No, TameLands. They don't want to be called Tame and Lame. TameLands. And this is their ControlFreak paddle. And it, just like the one I just showed you, it has the titanium weave. But this is, I didn't know this was intended to be a control paddle when I first brought it out, when I first tested with it. And I was like, whoa, this is a super control paddle. And that surprised me because even with the wide bodies, people are moving to poppy and power. But it was so fun to place with this. I think you felt the face. It's super gritty.
It is.
Yeah. And they just seem like a really cool brand. And so I'm going to be talking more about those paddles. And then when I was testing out wide bodies, I couldn't leave out my Honolulu. And so Honolulu, they have not adopted that shape just yet, which I do hope they do, because but they've gone with this. We've talked about it before. We've got the crazy pizza peel paddles, and no one's really reviewed these to my knowledge, and I'm working on a review because these things are actually a lot of fun in my opinion. And so they have the pro version and the non-pro version. Subscribe to the channel. Be on the lookout for this review. I think folks are going to be surprised. I'm really enjoying these. And so those are like the main paddles I'm testing. Like that's a lot of paddles, the wide bodies in particular. And then I've got some other things I'm testing, but I know you've got some stuff going on because our friends Matt over at Chorus and Aurora over at Bread and Butter, they set you up with some paddles to start testing so you can start talking on the pod so people can stop commenting, shut up, Matthew. So do you want to, I know you haven't gotten to hit with everything, but do you have your course paddle handy?
Yeah, well, thanks Matt for the from Chorus for supplying me with this SuperCourt EX the demo and tryout. I will be playing with this weekend. So, and thank you to Aurora at Bread and Butter for sending me some paddles to try too. But yeah, do you have your paddle here?
Yeah, so Chorus has new batches of their SuperCourt paddles. And so the one Wilson has is their Tronic colorway, which they released that one after their initial run, and I loved that look. I don't know if you can show off that the sort of azul or teal. Oh, you have an overgrip on it, but
Oh, yeah, sorry.
no, no, no. Of course, you gotta have overgrip. Although you could get a matching color from Bodhi, which but that's
Yes.
later on in the podcast. But so Wilson opted for the extended one because he loves the elongated. But I actually got the standard shape, and this is in Chorus's
Fresh.
fresh colorway, which actually I don't think they were pursuing as a design until they did all of their. I did a podcast for Chorus's birthday with Matt, the owner, where we talk about what it's like running a pickleball company, and they were celebrating an anniversary, and they basically did a promo where if you bought a paddle from them during this window of time around their birthday, you would get a prototype that they had been working on. And one of the prototypes had this colorway and people loved it. And I loved it and I was so bummed because it's not the one I got. But then it was so loved, he, it seems, put it onto the SuperCourt line. And so I'm stoked to hit with these. I talked about the OG SuperCourt in my Fire review. And it was a really interesting paddle. Now this is made differently, but it's still got the crazy long handle for all the Indiana Jones whips, and I just think the Saved by the Bell look is unstoppable. And so I'm excited to hit with this one. And so we're both gonna start hitting with the super courts and talk about how they play on the pod. But as far as today, I know you've already gotten a few hits on the new bread and butters. And so do you want to sort of tell folks your first impressions? And everyone keep in mind, like, Wilson's only had them for a beat. This isn't like a full in-depth review, but like, how are you liking them? I know you're exploring different shapes right now.
Yeah, so I just want to start off by saying that last year, when I started really playing tournaments and everything and playing more competitively, the OG bread and butter filth was my go-to paddle. So I played with this all of last year, all of 2024, and it was and it still is really good. I brought it back to compare it with the current the refreshed versions of the filth, and this one still plays awesome. But so yeah, the refresh, basically they refreshed the graphics a little bit. Still looks awesome. Still has that holographic look that trips people out a lot. But then they also have different shapes now, right? They have the standard, which is a standard wide body. They have their hybrid shaped, and then their OG elongated. Their elongated is still the same. Yeah, so to be honest, unlike Matt's situation, these are my first ever standard and hybrid paddles. Before these two, I
How
played
are
with
you on this podcast, Wilson? How? This is
that's
a
why you put me under the weekly tips because I don't practice I don't play with enough paddles, right? I play a
well,
lot, but
that's
with the same
changing. That's
paddles.
changing.
Yeah, I hope so. I would like to help you out there. But yeah, these are my first standard and hybrid paddle. I haven't even demoed other people's hybrid and standard paddles. But I have to say, I totally understand where people are when people say you get the extra pop, but mostly the sweet spot and control. So these are great. They're poppy enough in the front at the kitchen line, but the standard and hybrid, they have really good control in the dinking, in dinks and hand battles. Um, I do have to say that my hand speed is much faster with these. Um, but they do lack a little bit of power, a little bit of drive when I'm at the baseline in the back. So, but that's with a little bit of lead tape, I'm sure that would be fine. It would fix that issue.
Ooh,
Um, but it's
that
funny though. Huh?
that would be interesting, Wilson, since I don't usually modify my standards or hybrids to
Hmm.
increase power just because that's not really my game style. I think that would be an interesting experiment to see if you could match probably the hybrid, if you
Hmm.
get customize the hybrid where uh, you could maybe if you let I think a good experiment would be could Wilson customize a hybrid where he likes it as much as his elongated with the
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah.
what were you saying? I just interrupted you.
Oh, no, 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 not a problem at all. But yeah, so the hybrids and standards are great at the front, but they are a little lacking in the back. Hence, I said maybe some weight would be beneficial. Other than that, control is great. Sweet spot is great. I really like the sweet spot of the standard. I can dink all day and not make a mistake at all. The face is, I believe, a carbon fiber, fiberglass, carbon fiber layup. Um, Grit is great. I love it. Um, and the pop is great. I think these are basically if you I, I guess people compare the filth to like the a more affordable version of a carbon X series paddle. I think I've heard that before. I've never used them, but if you wanted a carbon with a hybrid or standard shape, you might want to look into these as a possible alternative. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they're far off. I'd have to double check on the order of the face layers, but the new Filth line definitely includes fiberglass in the layup. I'm not 100% on the order. I couldn't find it really quickly, but I'm actually was in a little bit of a different since we have different styles and I'm not drive focused. I wanted to hit with these because I'm actually going through all of Bread and Butter's paddles because for their nerdy tourney that I'll be going to, we're going to be playing with Bread and Butter paddles. And so I've been cycling through trying to figure out which one I wanted to use. And the new Bread and Butters out of the box had quite a bit of pop on short flat hits for me, just like in my initial first impression. And so yeah, as someone that's more control oriented, that doesn't do a lot of baseline driving, these were actually had some pop to me that I would need to customize these paddles, and I have a whole way to do that. Probably a little weight on the throat would get them to where I wanted to get them, but I was also just so I haven't really done that, so I haven't gotten to hit a whole lot with them. But I've been hitting with the other bread and butter paddles, and I thought it'd be interesting. Like basically, I actually really thought I was going to be. And there are more NerdyTourney updates, Wilson, and I'm gonna
Ooh,
get
I
your thoughts
want to
on
hear
some
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
But we talked about last time how the last time we chatted, didn't I talk about how I'm doing one invader with the SlyceCap and one without?
Yep.
Yeah. So once again, so this in one invader, these I got very similar weights, but I did a SlyceCap on one, so that added an ounce of weight to the butt cap, and then the other, no SlyceCap. And I wanted to just see how they perform differently. But ultimately, the Invader, I was expecting to be sort of like, I'm a hybrid person. I play with the J2K, it's like what I main for so long, and I play a ton with the J2K Plus. But these were actually way more plush than I had anticipated. And once again, I could customize them, especially the one with the SlyceCap, since I could add weight to the head, I could keep that same fast hand speed. But what happened, that I had that realization, and so my first impression was like, this might not be the paddle I want to play with. And then the two paddles from Bread and Butter that had always stuck out to me was the Shogun, and they were like one of the first to use the PET, the titanium weaves. That paddle I remember just really enjoying. And then I remember the Fat Boy, and I thought that was like, at the time, that was poppy to me. And so I broke these out and got into some competitive play. I think you were there for some of the games, because at the NerdyTourney, they're taking this seriously, the other reviewers. And as you told me, there's no such, Wilson told me, folks, and I think this is true in pickleball, there's no such thing as friendly competition. Once there's competition, you aren't friends. And hopefully all the reviewers and the influencers will break that rule, and it's just for fun, but I have a feeling it's going to get intense. And so I was trying out the Fat Boy, and this is the one that I think really spoke to me. It's the one that I would say sits closest to in touch and feel to Honolulu's paddles. And so it was just more familiar to me. And I was able to get some spin and it was the way it feels on the face, the ball, and my touches were very reminiscent of like a J2K. And so this is a all-court paddle, and most of Bread and Butter's lines are sort of like all-court or all-court plus now that we're in the Gen 3, Gen 4 realm of things. But this one was the most predictable. But then I know I'm going to have some freaking hard hitters at that tourney. And so I think I'm going to also pack the Shogun. And if I get tired, or if things get like really hairy, this is just super reliable. I've got that extra reach if I'm having to cover more court, to maybe salvage a shot. And this thing is plush, but very predictable. Whereas the new Filth elongated, I would have to really probably dampen that pop a little bit with some weight and practice more on that. And I'm not sure I have enough time to really learn that paddle, because the OG Filth isn't a paddle I played with a lot. I was very hybrid focused when that paddle was released. But this, I think I was able to do what I wanted to do with this. And more than anything for me, my game is about predictability. Like, I know like what my intent is with a shot, and the paddle helps me execute it. And we'll see. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of hard hits and hands battles. I think a lot of the players are power oriented players, but it will be interesting because we will have a bit of a evening out of the playing field because everyone will be playing with Bread and Butter's paddles, which I think most of them lean more all court, and I don't think that's all of those players like daily. Like a lot of them are doing the True Foams, the Yolas as their dailies. With those enhanced cores and sort of that enhanced power, so maybe they'll be uncomfortable. And I've been playing with the J2K for so long, maybe I'll have an advantage. But there's more. So Bread and Butter did do a draw and put the teams together. And I think what they did, as you know, I don't really do tournaments, so my duper is in the trash. But I think they put two jars, like low dupers and high dupers. And I'm sure I was in the low duper bowl, and then they tried to match it up, and I got matched with someone I didn't really know. Apparently, his name is Logan Brown, aka Sunday Dinking Club, and I guess he was the old co-host of the Pickleball Effect podcast, and he seems like a nice guy. I looked at his profile, like I've never talked to him before, but he is a 4.48 duper. But then he told me it's a 1% reliability score. So if anyone knows, we were just talking about duper. That probably means he doesn't do a lot of tournaments. So he's probably more like me, a more casual player. And so we have been anointed team underdogs by Bread and Butter. And then just to rub a little salt in the wound, because there are some stacked teams. Like I think we've got folks. I would have to double check, but I think maybe 9 combined dupers, 9 points. But maybe I'm wrong about that. But our friends over at All Drive No Drop on their last podcast, or a recent podcast, they went through all the teams and did their own ranking of, who would win first and who would win last. And strangely, All Drive got paired with his co-host, Tickle My Pickleball. Both of those guys are very good players. So that team seems pretty stacked, in my opinion. So they ranked themselves first as winning the whole thing, which I do think is very possible. And then at the very bottom, they ranked Logan Brown and me as taking last place. So we're gonna fight hard. We got some folks thinking we're at the bottom of the barrel, but we'll see. And to me, Aurora, Doug, I hope you have some good food out there, because I'm there for the snacks more than anything else. So please have some good food, and I think we'll have a good time. Even if we, last place is, if you're having fun, who cares that much? But I don't know. Do you have any words of wisdom? You've done way more tournaments than I have. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. So I've I personally think that being the underdog is not bad at all. Also, did you see the ChatGPT version of Buffy on Bread and Butter's page? That
I saw
was
that the
that was
AI art.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Buffy looked freaking like Pitbull. Like she's. If I could bring her, like I think they'd like if I let Chris or one of the other players like get a few pets with Buffy, they'd have to give me some extra points, right?
There you go.
But she's not going to Florida.
Oh. Yeah, so being the underdog is not bad at all. I There are a lot of times where I've entered tournaments and last year I played a bunch of mixed doubles. I I had the lowest duper out of all the guys. And I think people tend to underestimate you sometimes when they see that you are an underdog or you have a low duper. Um, but honestly, I think I personally play higher than what my duper rating is at right now. But so it's always a good surprise for when you're the underdog and suddenly, you catch them off guard and you get a few points or you get a few good runs. And sometimes you might get lucky and you might win that match. And if your expectations are already low, I mean, what are you gonna do about it, right? You have
There you
nothing to
go.
lose. You have nothing to lose, Matt. All right.
Except the whole tournament. But yeah, I hear you. I hear
Well,
you.
I hope money's not on the line. So as long as money's not on the line, I think you're good.
Good. Yeah, it should be fun. Logan, if you're watching, let's have a good time. All right. All right. Okay. Now, Wilson, there's big pickleball news. It's probably what the thumbnail is. Do you want to know what it is?
Yes, I do. What's up? What is it?
All right. The Ripple is
Mm,
back.
V2, right?
Oh, I don't know, version 100. This thing, I don't know. I don't know. Have you tracked this story at all about the Ripple?
Yeah, I heard they're being sunsetted too, or at least the first version, right? They got delisted as well with the Yolas. I think
Okay, so it's a little more complicated than
okay.
that. But basically, Ronbus, they had been working on a new paddle called the Ripple for forever, and basically Ronbus, kind of like Selkirk has, I think it's called Ronbus Connect, and it's where you can get in early on paddles. They did some releases of multiple versions of their take, and I think it will be Gen 4, but basically a very super foamy paddle with different things going on. But it played really, really hot. Tons of reviewers loved them. They were some of them were USAP approved for a while. People really boosted their dupers. And then some of them weren't USAP approved. A lot of confusion, but they were only released to like the Ronbus Connect folks. You couldn't buy them publicly. But then they went secondhand because some people could play with them at dupers. And honestly, it really gave people like way more power than most approved paddles. But this time, this version, it seems like it's gonna be released to the public. Ronbus did a joint statement with USAP. They seem to have crossed all their I's, dotted all their T's, done all the testing. They've got the PB Core 43 certified
Nice.
stamp. Like, this release is finally going to happen. And so I'm finally actually going to be testing out the ripples. I've done a few initial hits, and it's too soon for me to really like say much. Like, they are powerful and they had a very unique feel. The ball contact was very, very unique. It felt like a dense core paddle, but that might change. Like, I only did a few hits, but it's just interesting. And the way they describe the core material, it's 3D carbon fiber lattice infused with EVA. And they have some images. They have a video on their YouTube page that shows like a 3D rendering of what it's like. And from what I can tell, I think I would put it in the Gen 4 bucket as like a foam paddle. Like, I don't think there's honeycomb in this. It just has a very different feel. And I actually reviewed their Nova series. I have a video on the channel, and what was unique about those paddles is that they use this edge grid technology. And the intent behind that was it would release pressure when it was being manufactured to prevent core corruption. And in my eyes, it was a Gen 2 paddle. But then they released another series called the Pulsar FX series, and that used a carbon fiber grid underneath the face material. And the intent behind that was to allow for more dwell. And I'm not sure if I ever actually hit with those, so I can't speak to that. But it also used that edge grid. And so Rhombus has been experimenting. They really took their time, I guess you could say. They definitely didn't want to do a wide release like Yola and then do the recall situation. And so they did those alpha, beta releases. They did the Rhombus Connect releases. And now I think they're good to go. And so I'm really curious if this will be like as hyped as the ones that were super overpowered that everyone wanted to play with. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, Mr. Wilson, what do you think about the Ripple and Power paddles? Um, Maybe the UPA 3S Yola paddles. Like, my experience is like I actually did like there's a little tiny minute where I was motivated to like actually do duper because I wanted to play in a very walled garden where you needed a certain duper to play in their games. And so I like went. I didn't want to like go do the whole tournament thing, and so I found a place doing some duper games, right? Where they were gonna put the scores into duper. And I was like, yeah, that seems like a fast track to like build it up. And I think I don't want to out all my numbers, but I think at one point I jumped to a 4-0 in that session. I like went back to look at the dupers, and I think I probably play probably 3-9 to be honest, if we're being real. And I think I jumped to a 4-0, and then I got paired with a girl. She was the only girl that showed up for this event. And then across from us was a guy with a ripple, and he just ripped the ball at my partner the whole game. And I think by the end of it, I was at a 3-5. And so I jumped, I think probably I was a 3-7. And that was like a low percentage score. I think I had done one league prior. So obviously that wasn't, I mean, that was done pretty well because they did do proper matching. But I was also in the lowest like level team. But jumped to a 4-0 and then dropped to a 3-5, and all of it was because a guy blasted balls with a ripple, which I don't think it was USAP approved. I mean, I know there was one at one point in time, but like, what's your take on illegal paddles, power paddles? Like, what do you think?
Um, I I granted, okay, so here's the disclaimer, right? I use 1166 24 Hirachi power. It's great. It's fun to play with. And I think if used wisely and carefully, it's a great tool to have. Like for me, I've always been, even when we had, Gen 2 paddles, um, I was relatively on the weaker end of the spectrum. I'd never had a hard serve, hard drive, um, compared to my competitors. Um, and so when I got a hold of a 11624 power paddle, it really opened up a lot to me, for me. I didn't have to worry about really throwing my whole body into the shot. I can just, focus on my shot selection and um, my form and everything, so that I can hit a good shot. Um, and if you're using it like that, I think it's a great tool to have. But there are people who are purposely just aiming for bodies, body bagging people. And yes, it is totally within the rules to body bag people. But when you're at rec play, oh, when you're body bagging people in tournaments, I think that's fair game. But when you're in at rec play, you should definitely try to tone it down. And I think overall, power paddles are kind of hurting the game.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of turning it into mini. A lot of people have said this, but mini tennis. You're just
right.
doing the drive game, and you can just win points from the back of the base in the baseline instead of having to come up and go into a thinking battle, because all you do is just blast it from the back, and you're probably gonna tag your opponent. Um, yeah, so like when we started 2 years ago, when there were just Gen 1 paddles, it really wasn't super powerful, and I felt like my hand speed was fast enough to block shots and stuff. And there was a little more technical, you needed more technical skills, I think, back then. Now it could be anybody from a tennis background, and they'd probably be able to make it pretty far in a tournament. So
Yeah.
yeah, power paddles, new power paddles, I think they are hurting the game. They're totally fun to play with though, but they are hurting the game in the long run, I think. So they got to do something, especially when these paddles are known to break in. I mean, I have two of these all of last year, and they're not core crushed or anything. Yes, I have to replace them or I switch them out because of grit, but
Hmm.
that happens. But if you watch Matt's other podcast or our podcast about the core crushed paddles, it's not only 11.624. Don't get me wrong. It's I think most most Gen 3. I think it's safe to say most Gen 3 paddles, no matter the company or model, had have had history of core crushing. It's just I think part of the floating core or propulsion
Yeah.
technology,
Yeah.
it breaks down.
Yeah.
This
I mean,
thing plays the same from as what other than grit, it plays the same as when I first got it. But 11 my power paddle, I definitely had to um switch it out. I'm unable to play with the core crushed one anymore, at least consistently. I mean, I'll use it to mess around and stuff, but I can't play with it consistently because if you hit it right in the center, it's super powerful, and then if you hit off center, it just literally dies. It literally does not make it past the net.
yeah.
Yeah, so quality control or paddle durability is not the greatest, and the power paddles I don't think are very good for the game in the future of
Okay.
the pickleball. Yeah.
Do you think so? You're sort of talking about a core crushed 11.624 and a non-core crushed. So do you think
hmm
the proper the non-core crushed 11.624 that you have? Do you think that is a good power ceiling for the game, or do you think that's too much power?
A brand new Gen 3, possibly Gen 4. I have not used one of those yet, but a new Yola or new 11.624 paddle, power paddle would be probably the ceiling that I would like
Okay.
to see the power. I think it's just a problem that they break in, and honestly think they might actually surpass the
Right.
the the power limit once they
Yeah.
break
Yeah.
in. So I think
And so
that
I
is the problem.
yeah, and so I agree. I think like the 11.624 power paddles, I think that should probably be the ceiling. And I do
A
know
fresh
like
one, a fresh
a
one.
fresh one.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I think we'll talk more on the pod since you have the new one and you're going to be breaking that one in.
hmm
I'm curious because obviously you had a defective one because it core crushed.
hmm
I'm curious to see what happens with your new one, and if it
Oh,
gets too hot. And so we'll definitely subscribe to the pod. We're going to be tracking that.
yeah.
But it seems 11.624's power series are supposed to be like have some of the lowest rates of core corruption, and so excuse me. So I do think that is a good ceiling, but I do think Gen 3 design is just they're just more complex with lots of different pieces in them. And so I do like this idea of full foam paddles. Like I do think simpler is always better when it comes to technology. And so maybe that will really be solved with Gen 4. I know Rhombus is making an attempt. We'll see how it plays out. Only time will tell. As far as like tournaments and stuff, though, like I don't know, like if you've experienced, I don't like playing against the old Ripples or the Yola 3S's, for example. And I see those all the time. And like that particular series of Yolas isn't like it's not USAP approved. So it's always like, I went to this DUPR event, like, and so why are people like getting to play with all these juice paddles? Like it just took the fun out of it. And I think, like at rec play, like in particular, I see a bunch of older folks. They really did lean into that mini tennis style when the old gearboxes, in particular, kicked this whole thing off. And then the Yola mods, I don't think they're ever gonna stop playing with those. Like I think there are some folks that have a closet full of those, and they but who cares? They're never. The more it breaks down, the hotter it gets. They're gonna keep playing with that for forever. And so what I'm like, kind of like frustrated about is like there are all these super hot paddles that already exist, and USAP has tried to lower the power ceiling. There are some companies like 11624 that are trying to abide by that power ceiling, like a Rhombus, it seems. But yeah, it's gonna be like frustrating when we go to like these when you play at tournaments and like people are still using juiced paddles. Like, and I think the fact that like they're I believe the Pro 4s are even going to have UPA only approved paddles. It's just like I wish we could just settle on a power ceiling and
Hmm.
let's do that. And remember, like if paddles get too hot, rec play is not going to get fun. New people aren't going to. They're going to be intimidated. They're not going to get involved in the sport. And it's really at rec play that where that growth happened. That really kicked off pickleball's thing. I know everyone's really concerned about like professional pickleball, and they think it's going to be like the next NBA franchises. I do think we need to. I think we need to keep our eyes on rec play, and so I'm glad to see Rhombus. You know, I feel like they handled having a super powerful paddle. Like they did take their time. I appreciate that approach. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna be checking those paddles out. But yeah, like what are we gonna do when people keep bringing the mod TAs, the old ripples, like to this like these dupers? Like so many folks just got really juiced scores by having these power paddles. And so
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. I don't know what
Um,
to do about it.
I I guess we'll have to see. I mean, eventually, it's tough. Like I played in tournaments when people have mods and gearboxes, and it is definitely harder. It's still doable at the moment, but we'll see how it goes. Um,
All right.
but did you know one thing I noticed is interesting, and I wonder what the difference is. Gen 4 is I guess the generalization of Gen 4s is the full foam cores.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what is the difference between the Diadem Vice or the Hugh Def New Era, I believe they're called,
Uh huh.
that New
Like the
Era
full
models.
EV, the old EVA paddles. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if those will technically pass the
Oh,
new rules, you know? I mean, those were the technically like the OG foam cores, right?
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, they were that by the way, those were never USAP approved, but just in my mind, when people say Gen 4 full foam core and stuff, it's been around. It's just a little different. Just my
Yeah,
food for thought.
it's definitely yeah, it's definitely different tech, different kinds of foam. So
Hmm.
those would probably never pass the new tests.
Hmm.
But the real question is, Wilson, when someone's lugging out an old Ripple or a Matier or
Hmm.
even a Yola 3S or one of those UPA only approved Adidas paddles,
Hmm.
go get the bargain Hudef EVA paddle and bring that one out because it's just not going to be pickleball. It's going to be mini tennis. And so I don't know, like I'm getting annoyed that they're like these juice paddles that are not approved. And I
Hmm.
think they're going to be around for forever. And it's like it's really hard like to like do an all court or a control game because they just blast balls. It's doubles. It's rec play, random partner at a tournament. Like you can't really respond. You can't play mini tennis with a non-juice paddle I as easily. Like what I do appreciate about like where we've landed with like I do like the power enhanced paddles. I think 11624, I think Honolulu, I think where the current USAP standards are pushing the power ceiling or pushing it down, I sort of like where it's settled. And the one thing that it really does help with, like the new Yolas that I reviewed, like I really love those. And the thing is, you can get away with having big drives without activating your hip in your swing. And that is, I think, the hardest thing for one of the hardest things for someone when we started that didn't have a racket sports background to add to their like arsenal of like mechanics. And now, like those paddles that we're talking about, you really don't need to activate your body to get deep drives and deep serves. Like back in the day, you had to learn that to like get deep drives, deep serves. Now the other side of that, the other side of the coin is it does make the tennis focused like folks lean into that style of game, but it's not as impossible to deal with in doubles. Like, cause there's still holes and you can still do some stuff with where the ceiling is. Matier's core corrupted paddles, different story. But anyway, all right, folks, let us know down in the comments. What do you think? Are you loving having to play across from 3S's and Matier's? Are you cool with it? Are we both just old men complaining about all these powerful paddles? Yeah, we probably are. But I liked when we started out. There's a lot of it was a thinking game. And so, but you know, times change. We're adjusting. And on that note, I had one little other section I wanted to talk about with you, Mr. Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, like, what are your thoughts on game analysis? Like, going out, I know you record a lot of your games, like even your handle, if you go to your YouTube channel, you've got a ton of gameplay. Like, is game analysis, like, do you get a lot out of that? Should other folks do it? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think the most important thing in to improve, in at least in this situation, pickleball is recording yourself. You Because, have you ever seen like those memes or shorts where it's like, oh, what you think you look like when you're playing pickleball and what you really look like when you play pickleball? So it's
Yeah,
painful, but
hard hitting, yeah.
yes, it's hard hitting. But the truth is that it's hard to see your errors or your bad ways in the immediate like while you're playing in the game. It's so once it's good to record yourself and see how you're playing, how you're hitting. Maybe you're not coming up to the net fast enough. Maybe you're not following through enough. Maybe you're not, um, I don't know, maybe you're reaching too far and not letting the ball come to you or you going to the ball first before you hit. Um, a lot of times it's hard to see that um, while you're playing. So it's really good to record yourself and to see and to analyze yourself after the fact. Yeah, so I do that a lot so that I can help myself improve, see what my errors are, what my most common errors are, and why, and how I can fix it. I think anybody and everybody should at least record themselves once in a while just to see if they've had any new improvements or if they've fallen back and created some bad habits. I mean, nowadays, all you do is buy like a phone tripod and you can just use your phone. Everybody's phone, I mean, I'm sure nowadays everybody's phone can record video, I hope.
Yeah.
And you don't need 4K, whatever, 60 frames per second. But yeah, you just need something just to watch, just to record yourself to play while you play. Um, and yeah, if you guys ever go to a tournament, I guarantee you there are so many tripods and so many phones or GoPros or what's a new one, Insta 360s or whatever.
Yeah, those are
Um,
popular.
you'll see so many. You'll just it looks like they're filming a movie or something because there's tripods everywhere. Yeah, so
Oh,
and that shows you how important it is to record and watch yourself for improvement purposes.
yeah.
Yeah, so game analysis is very important. It's almost as important as drilling and you know, getting a coach to coach you. I mean, if you can just see your own mistakes, I mean that'll help you a lot.
Yeah, I actually so I record, as you know, some gameplay footage because I like to include gameplay footage in my paddle reviews.
Everybody likes
But
that too.
yeah, well, it was demanded of me, Wilson. The commenters were not happy for the longest time, but I finally started doing that way back last year. But I was scrubbing through my play footage because I'm trying to grab highlights that show different things about what a paddle does. And then the reason I had asked, I actually, what you just said, I noticed something I was doing consistently in
Mhm.
error. And so what I noticed was two things actually. I noticed I was we play a lot together. I'm not sure if you're aware of my weaknesses or what my strengths, but I'm now pointing them out for the sake of this analysis. But
Mhm.
my backhand is actually better than my forehand, and I hope the bread and butter tournament folks aren't watching. I don't think they are, but I don't want them to know everything about me. But it's a long story, but I really worked on improving my backhand. Like probably like that was like the big thing that I first worked on, and a lot of my issues with it came because of an issue since I didn't have a paddle sports background with how I held my paddle, how I gripped it. I have a video on the channel about the grip fixer. Like it's a tennis tool for little kids, and that really helped me basically learn how to keep my hand in position. And in my case, I play mostly continental. But it ultimately all of that like what happened to me was long story short, I used to favor my forehand so much
Mhm.
to the point where I would flip my paddle around to hit backhand. And that's more of a grip error. Like that's not holding your grip, not knowing what you're doing. And so then I think I have actually overcorrected and I have strengthened my backhand where I now favor my backhand more. And I notice in some of play footage I was looking at, even when I'm on the left side, I actually have found myself, I am cheating into the middle, even when I'm playing with you on my team, Wilson, because I like my backhand. And then what I noticed with one of the players that we play with quite a bit, I already knew he knew I favored my backhand. I didn't know I was pushing myself out of position though, so I could hit a whip or hit with a backhand. And he has a tennis background, so I'm sure he's very good at reading the court. But he clocked that I'm leaving a giant hole, like point after point. And so there I am. I have the forehand side, right? So I'm supposed to take the middle, but I favor my backhand so much, I'm cheating way too much to the right, and I'll take the middle hit that I'm supposed to take, but I'm not hitting it forehand. I'm hitting it with my backhand, cheating far too much to the right, and then I get
Good.
pounded in the outside line. And so that's something I observed, and I don't think I would have clocked that if I wasn't doing game
Yep.
analysis. And I
Yep.
accidentally fell into doing game analysis. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And then the other thing that I noticed, and it is tied to like me favoring my backhand, when I'm up at the kitchen, um, and I noticed this when I was on the right side is in fact. So that would be like that's actually I prefer right side because I prefer my backhand and I would prefer to fight ideally communicate about who should take the middle shots. But I notice once again probably because I prefer my backhand, um, I was not in the ready position for someone directly across from me going for the body with a speed up. My paddle is angled wrong. And I'm doing that. And so what I observed was I don't have my paddle face in a like neutral position, ready to do a block or a counter to a speed up. And instead, I'm just thinking, oh, the person across from me, they're going to want to dink with me. We love dinking. But as we were talking about earlier, like pickleball is becoming power focused, drive focused, and I just need to let go of what I want the play to be like. And I definitely know at the NerdyTourney, people aren't going to politely initiate dinking with me. And so I noticed through game analysis that I'm favoring my backhand too much now, and I need to also be mentally prepared for speed ups at the body. And that means I need to have a neutral paddle neutral paddle position, or however you would say that. And so I only found that out through game analysis. And there are actually a couple of tools that I am aware of that I think maybe we should try out. But there's, of course, SwingVision. We've talked about them on the channel before. And if you use my link down in the description and subscribe to them, you'll get a free swing stick, which is a pretty cool device for like mounting your camera. Supposedly it's $100 value. So just use my link down there. But I am familiar with SwingVision because a guy that I've played with before uses that. And it's a cool service where they'll record your footage. And an issue I have with using my phone is like I'll fill up my memory. And so what's cool about SwingVision is it uploads it to the cloud so you don't fill up your phone memory. But the other thing is they have like an AI tool that like does some analysis, I believe. And it will like, what's really cool is it will cut out like the lag time between points. So you don't have to like scrub through and waste time just watching you walk over to the other side or whatever, or someone chase a ball. And then it even has like a speedometer. So that's kind of cool. But there is another service, though, called PBVision. And if you use promo code MathUK, you get 15 video credits. And there's a free trial with that. And so I think we should probably try this one out. And PBVision actually does play footage game analysis. And so I think we should try that out and see what we think, if it's valuable or not. But just like accidentally scrubbing through footage, like I think game analysis as you level up is probably like the best way to like figure out where you can improve, because I didn't even realize I was making those errors consistently. And so yeah, game analysis, get going. And if you don't have a Wilson in your life to help scrub through the footage and make you a better player, try out PBVision. If you've used it before, like let us know down in the comments. Is it helpful? Like I'm super curious. And then, all right, Wilson, we've hit. We're past the hour mark. So I just want to do just a couple gear alerts. Just a couple.
Sure.
I had a list. I don't know if we'll be able to do all of them, because then I want that tip of the week. That's why everyone's watching. But I did want to point out that, folks, HonoluluPickleball, they've got a new plus paddle. This is the J2HPlus. So I've got a review breaking down all their different surfaces. The J2H, the H1 is the version of their layup that includes fiberglass. The OG is like a pop beast. And I am very curious how the Plus version plays. This is Honolulu's take on Gen 3 construction. And yeah, I have a review on their previous, the J2K Plus, the J2TI Plus. But I am super curious what this one is going to play like. Tickle My Pickleball. He's a hard hitter. He actually posted on his Instagram that this is his favorite of the Plus line. And so just knowing his play style, like I know this is going to be a freaking cannon. So I believe you can order this now. Promo code MatthewK works on this one. Like I have a feeling the folks that want the Plus paddles from Honolulu are gonna want the one with the H, like just because it's just it's going to be poppier. But I'm going to hit with this and try to get some content on this ASAP. And then last week, Wilson, we were talking about our friends over at Packle and how we're bummed that they don't have that 3D printed ball, right?
Yeah.
Right? Well, I didn't tell you, Wilson. This is not from Packle, but a company called AccelDigitalSports has 3D printed balls.
Oh, hey, look
So,
at that.
so this is the DigiPro, and I actually am aware of this company because I'm working on a big video about quiet pickleball gear. Like USAP has a whole category of approvals for quiet pickleball gear. And this company, I didn't know who they were, but they were on that list, and I had reached out. And yeah, so this is supposed to be a quiet pickleball. And yeah, it looks a lot like what we had been talking about. They also have it in this cool orange color. It
That's
comes
much
in this
easier to
little,
see.
yeah, it comes in this little plastic ball like a vending machine. And then they even have a mini ball. And
Are,
so
is it soft or are they hard?
so they've got flex. I don't
Okay.
like they're
Not
not
like a
like a beezer.
Beezer.
Yeah, not like
Yeah.
a beezer where you can like pinch them. Like I'm a little afraid. Like they
Okay.
like I don't know what's gonna happen, but we're gonna hit with these. We're gonna circle back. I'm trying to get a promo code set up with them, but yeah, this is gonna be part of my quiet pickleball gear review that I've been working on for forever. It's just hard to get. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to include in that video, and it's just taken me forever to get everything. But yeah, I think this will be fun to try out. And so we're gonna do that. And then I wanted to highlight sort of a small brand really quickly. There's this brand that I was talking to called BashPickleball, and they've got some pretty cool looking paddles. This one here. Oh no! Spoiler alert. This one here is their Lucky paddle, and it's got the cool checkered carbon fiber face. Like I've seen a lot of paddles at open play with this face, but I personally have never played with one, and so I just want to see what this is like. But then the one that I had always seen on like Instagram and whatnot was this guy. Oh yeah, that skull. This one's called the Scorcher, I believe, and it's got a 3K weave. They're all edgeless. I believe it's a father-son own and run company, and they seem like nice folks. And so I wanted to hit with these paddles, see what they're like. But I just always thought like that design was fire. Get it? Fire. All right. Okay. But the real standout, like I love paddle companies, like of course, but I love like the thing about the smaller paddle companies, like they often have other gear that is very good, like outside of their paddle line. And Bash Pickleball has this bag, this tactical bag, and like I think this could be like a great daily driver for pickleball. It's got a ton of pockets. It is that classic like military style, and I think this might be worth switching everything out and loading this one up. And it's not one of the bulky like tournament bags, which I do appreciate. You can get different things, patches to put onto here. And I've never had a bag like this, and so I just want to see what that was like. It's got your fence hooks, and the thing about it right now, this thing is like $50 on sale, and so like dirt cheap. And like I think that's one thing. Like you see these smaller companies, like if you dig into their product offerings, you can sometimes find some real steals. And I'm trying to get a code set up with them. I don't know if I have it. Hopefully, I'll have it by the time this gets posted. And ideally, I'm sure it will be Matthew K. And then one other thing I wanted to point out real quickly is I have been trying to play with these. It feels like a year. It took me so long to get any review units, but there's a company called Thompson Paddles that has these edgeless paddles. Okay? But they're doing something different. So this isn't like a traditional edgeless paddle. It is basically
Oh.
got this thick edge wall thing, and it's a whole piece. Like it's a whole piece on its own. And they call this it's patent pending, and it's called their TrueFeel SideWall technology. So it's not just foam on the outside. It's not like a carbon fiber strip that's been thermoformed to create an edgeless paddle. Like it is a whole freaking like channel of like material. And
Mhm.
so I want to see what this hits like. They claim that this technology reduces vibration. And if you're a fan of the pod, you know I'm all about ball feel. And so I'm really curious what that's like. And then I sort of we don't have time to do our fit check, but or do we? No, we don't. But today, well, this is from IntoTheAm, like that clothing brand I really like, the shirt. But I found a new hat company
Mhm.
that I've been interested in, and it's called GetawayHats. This is a getaway hat. This is their Universal Ultra Suede S hat, I believe. Maybe it's SS. I can't remember. But but the thing about them is you can some of their lines they're semi-structured hats, and basically their whole thing is they're foldable hats. And one thing I hate is like I go to open play and I forgot my hat, and so I think having like one that's tucked away in a bag is great. And so getaway hats, you can get 15% off if you use promo code MatthewK. And like this one is supposed to be machine washable, and I think that's another great aspect of like a pickleball hat because it gets also sweaty. Like some of my older pickleball hats, like they're destroyed. Like they got the freaking an ocean of sea salt in them. So it's cool that this is machine washable. They are a little pricey, but hopefully that discount will help folks out. And I think it was pretty substantial. Yeah, 15%. But then they got the bucket hats too. And so this one is the
Summertime.
Bali. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
gotta protect those ears. The Bali Ultra Suede. And on its product page, it didn't list that it was machine washable, so I don't know if it is. Maybe I'll just run a test and let folks know. But I really like their hats. I will say if you need a like this would be their hats will be great for people that don't run hot. Like these are like quality material, and so like they are insulative as they insulate heat as well. So something to keep in mind. But at least the ones I have, the suede ones, I'm sure they have other lines as well, or ultra suede. I don't think these are actual suede, but it has like that feel. But yeah, it's just some cool stuff out there. And now Wilson, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
we gotta get Wilson's tip of the week presented by BodhiPickleball. If you're looking for grips, over grips, if you're looking for tungsten, if you're looking for arm sleeves, now that we're getting brighter and hotter, hats. They've got new, really cool performance athletic shirts. Like check out BodhiPickleball. Promo code Matthew K will get you a discount with them. What's the tip? Make me a better player, Wilson.
Man, I gotta get some Bodhi tungsten tape for these standard paddles, huh?
Bodhi,
Um,
we need some tungsten tape for Wilson. Let's
I
go.
know. Yeah, tip of the week. One thing I noticed recently, during my gameplay, is that um, I've learned to do my third shot drops and mid-court resets, cross court. So what you want to do is a lot of some people they like to drop and reset straight ahead, but that leaves you a very, very thin margin between the net and your opponent. Um, and if you drop a little too high, or if you reset a little too high, your opponent is just gonna whip it back at you. So if you drop it cross court, I think it's a little more consistent. What you want to do is drop and reset cross courts. Of course, you want to mix it up. You want to drop and reset cross court. And the reason is that it's a little more consistent. Number one, the net is the lowest at the middle, right? It's low, it's 2 inches lower than the sides. And it allows you a lot more space because of the Pythagorean theorem. There's a lot more space between you and your opponent, and then your opponent and the net. There's just a larger space where you can drop and reset into your opponent's kitchen without them being able to take it out of the air. When you drop it straight ahead, they're more able to hit it out, take the ball out of the air. So cross court allows you to be a little more consistent. So my tip of the week is if dropping straight is not working for you, go ahead and try doing it cross court and try to drop and reset cross court if you're not feeling it that day. Yeah, so and also when you're dropping, of course, you want to aim for their backhand or directly in front of them. Don't try to give them a forehand, an easy forehand. So yeah, tip of the week is try dropping cross court and resetting cross court.
All right, folks. Wilson's here with the fundamentals with his tips. Go cross court, take advantage of that shorter middle part of the net, and then yeah, if you can target backhand, target backhand. Wow, Wilson, digging into the classics. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. Well, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Um, no, I think I'm good on my end. How about you? Anything?
All right. All right. One day, folks, Wilson's going to have like a big epilogue. I'm going to keep asking him. But as for me, the only thing I have are few giveaway reminders. Just did that big podcast on Packle. We've got a giveaway going on there. Be sure to comment to enter. And if you want an additional chance to win, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. All the information is on that video. And then I think by the time this posts, maybe the 11624 Power paddle review giveaway is still going. Just go check on that one. And then I do have the standout CF4, their take on next gen paddles. That review is definitely still going, so check that one out. I think that's all of them, but check the channel. It's Matthew K Pickleball giveaway basically. So always trying to get some giveaways going. And yeah, that's about it. I'm just excited to get some pickling in with you, Wilson.
Yeah, got to get you ready for that bread and butter tournament.
The NerdyTourney. All right, Wilson's gonna make it happen. But more than anything, I hope you get to pickle soon. Wilson hopes you get to pickle soon. So we both hope you get to pickle soon. But just don't forget, it's about having fun.